Allie with the Potomac Bead Company, and I'm still playing with our new RounDuo beads. These are 2-holed rounded beads that we have produced for us in the Czech Republic, and they have a lot of great colors, a lot of great finishes on them as well. We're introducing them and coming out with some new classes and designs on them, as well as we'll be adding colors as we get more and more time to manufacture more and more colors, since they've had such a great response. They're about a 5mm bead. They're about 5.5 millimeters, and we're going to be playing around with them today to do this elevation bracelet. So the elevation bracelet is going to be, as you can see, it's a 3-dimensional bracelet, and it's using both the RounDuos as well as some seed beads and some check glass, or you could use crystals or different things, Monty's down the middle. You can kind of play around. But what I'm going to be using is a cup button for my closure, and this is just the Aztec Gold cup button. I have my RounDuos here. I'm going to be using those in the Magic Orchid color. So they have a nice color of purple and green mixture to them. To really pop out that purple, I'm going to be using some of the Czech Fire Polished Rounds in a purple color. And this is our rounded mix that we sell in tubes, so you get a couple different colors. I'm going to be picking out the darker of those colors as I'm working with it, but I'm going to be picking out the 4mm. You can do this with 4s or 3s and the pattern would not change at all. As far as 11-Os, on my sample piece I just used one color of 11-Os. I'm going to be using 2 colors of 11-Os, and I'm also going to be throwing in a 15-O to kind of hide some of the thread. The colors of 11-Os that I'm going to be working with are the Crystal Labrador Fool. I'm going to be working with the Amethyst Gold Luster, and that's a Mayuki color on its own. The Crystal Labrador is a Czech finish on the Mayuki seed beads. And then I'm working with Opaque Smoky Gray Luster in my 15-O bead. As far as thread goes, I'm working with 0.006 Wildfire Beading thread in the green color because I'm working with that purple and green. You could work in with a white if you're doing the same colors as well, but the green's going to work nicely with this color range. And then I have my thread burner sitting here, some super new glue, a wide jaw flat nose or needle nose pliers, and I'm working on my bead mat. As far as needles are concerned, you can do this project with 1 needle or 2 needle. It's based on right angle weave, so if you're really familiar with right angle weave, you may find it easier to do this with just 1 needle. For those of you still learning and getting the basics, I'm going to start with 2 needles for today, and then I'll kind of give you a hint as to when I use 1 at a time and when we get to go with 2. So we're going to be using 2 needles, some thread, and our beads. So to start out my project, what I've done is I've gone ahead and cut about 5 feet of beading thread, and I've attached a needle to each end of the thread. So it's doubled over for a while, and then I have my loop here at the end that we're going to be adding our cup button to. Again, you can do this with 1 needle. In that case, you would put on a stop bead, and you're going to attach your clasp second. For me, I'm going to start with this cup bead here, a cup button. And what I'm going to do is actually dumping out some of my other color of my little 11-Os and some of my 15-Os as well. And those I'm not going to actually be using on this base level. I'm going to be using my silver color on the base level. So I just dropped a couple of these out. And what I'm going to do is put on a purple, one of my gray, purple, and I'm going to take 1 needle through the bowl portion of the cup button, other needle through the other side of my button. Let those drop down, so that way I have them just kind of decorating the end of my cup button there. They look cute. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get ready to start my right angle pattern. This is with 2 needles, so sometimes we'll call it a zigzag or a cross stitch, but I'm going to use 1, 2, 3 of my 11-Os on the right needle and 3 on the left, and let those drop down next to my cup button. And it's a lot of thread because we're going to be coming back down and up the bracelet multiple times. Once those are down next to my cup button, I'm going to put on my first of my RounDuo beads. And with the magic colors, it really turns and twists which colors you see more and coatings and all of that, so I'm not worrying about that at all. Whenever I put on a RounDuo, I'm going to have one that goes to the sides and one that goes to the center. The center column is actually going to stick up eventually, and the holes will be horizontal. Those ones on the side will be vertical. So these on the side are going to just be with one needle. The ones going down the middle, we're going to crisscross the needle through. So I have one needle going from right to left on a RounDuo. Same hole of the RounDuo, I'm going from left to right. So right now I'm only picking up one hole of the RounDuo. And I'm going to pull my thread through. Nice and tight. And that's going to drop it right down there, right at the start. On the right hand needle then, I'm going to pick up 2 more of my 11/0 beads. I'm going to pick up one of my RounDuo beads, 2 more of my 11/0 beads. I did that on the right. Whatever is done on the right is also going to be done on the left. If you happen to be doing this with one needle and in a right angle weave fashion, you are going to be putting 2 11/0 seed beads between each of your RounDuo beads. So on the right hand side, I put 2 11/0s, a RounDuo, 2 11/0s, same thing on the left. I'm going to pick up a 4th RounDuo bead, and just like I did with the first one, I'm going to take one needle from left to right, one from right to left through the same hole of the RounDuo bead, crisscrossing that thread in the middle, and then pulling it down. What this is going to do is form my little right angle unit, and you're going to have that there. The RounDuo is going to kind of fall to the bottom here, but we're going to actually be, again, sticking it up and sitting it up, so don't worry about it too much which direction it falls. Again, I'm going to continue with that same pattern. On my right needle, I'm going to put 2 11/0s, RounDuo, 2 11/0s. Same thing goes on the left needle. You can see the bead mat is a really great thing to have if you don't have it, because it really can benefit you kind of having somewhere to stick the needle in if you work better with one needle at a time. So the same thing on the right, same thing on the left. Pick up another RounDuo, and you're going to crisscross through one of the holes. One needle goes in one way, one goes in the other way. And then you're going to pull those down into your project and circle it out. So that's going to be the look that you're going to achieve and go the whole length of your project. This is going to shrink up a little bit. It's going to shrink up about a 1/2 inch. So you're going to want it to be about a 1/2 inch longer than what you're normally used to making it, because it is going to shrink a little bit as we set these next RounDuos up as we come back for our top layer. So continue with the same pattern, 2, 1 on each needle, and then crisscross through for your entire bracelet length plus an additional 1/2 inch. So just to show you as you're working on it, this is kind of a cheat that I do. I pick up one needle and I'll string a bunch of my 11/0s separated by my RounDuo beads. And then I'm going to kind of just stick that needle into my bead mat and pick up my other needle. On it I already have 2 11/0 beads, just from the last time I was playing around like that. I have one of my RounDuos on, 2 of my beads. I'm going to go to the second bead in line here from the previous one, and I cross over that. Flip your bracelet, do the same thing again. Go 2 11s, go a RounDuo bead, 2 11s, skip one, go through the second one, and then flip. So you can see that pattern starting, and I'm just using one needle at a time. The reason I'm calling this the elevation bracelet is because we're actually going to elevate and pick up all of those RounDuo beads that are kind of falling to the bottom. That's why we're only going through one hole at a time, because we're going to come back on the top and pick up the other 11/0 bead, or the other RounDuo bead. Again, I skip a bead, go through the next one. So this is a way that you can just do it quicker by not having to change needles constantly. And if you do that little flip of the bracelet, your threads do not get tangled. And I'll do a little bit and then I pull, because you don't want to get too far ahead when doing that, because you want to make sure to pull at each little step to make sure that your bracelet gets tightened up. So I switched on you a little bit the bead mat because I thought it was hard to see underneath the purple bead mat. So I put a yellow bead mat on top. Hopefully that makes it a little bit easier for you to see. It was hard with the purple and purple, and I'm about to pour out my check glass and thought that would really get lost. So anyway, I've gotten my length plus, again, about 1/4 to 1/2 inch longer than I need it to be because it is going to shrink up a little tiny bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm coming out my last RounDuo bead, and I'm going to add, for my loop, a bunch of my 11O seed beads. And I'm going to switch my color and do this with my amethyst gold luster bead. Doesn't matter which needle, right or left. What I'm going to do is actually pick up 2 of my silver beads on my right needle, 2 on my left needle, and then I'm going to crisscross through 1 of my purple. Just going to make a nice polished end. And that's going to kind of hold that in place there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up about 25 of my 11O seed beads in my amethyst gold luster. And that's going to be the loop for my cup button to fit into. I'm going to let those drop down next to what I'm already working on. And again, I'm just doing this with 1 needle. So whichever needle you're still holding on to, use that one. I'm going to pull my tail a little bit more here. Once you have on enough beads to go around the cup button, what I'm going to do is I'm going to circle my needle back through that 11O seed bead that I'm coming out of. And that's going to circle up that loop. Give a nice tight pull on both sides so you're making sure that it's going to come through there. On the right hand side, I'm going to take that needle that wasn't going through all those beads and I'm going to reinforce and go through that. You'll have an opportunity on your next time down to reinforce this 1 more time if you want to. So we're going to do it twice here. The initial thread that went through, and then the one that I'm taking through now. If you want to, you could also do peyote on this loop. That's up to you, if you know the peyote stitch. Going back through that same 11O seed bead. And then I'm going to give a nice tight pull. That's going to tighten up that whole loop on me. And then I have my little end. The needle that I have in my hand, doesn't matter again, right or left, I'm going to go down through those 2 11Os that I added. And at that same time, I'm going to take my needle through the bottom, what's now going to be called the bottom hole of that RounDuo bead. On the opposite side, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go down through those 2 silvers that I added. If my needle wants to get in there. And then I'm also going to go through that bottom hole of my RounDuo bead. So now that RounDuo bead, that bottom hole, actually has 4 pieces of thread going through it. To go up to the top hole, I'm going to enlist the help of my 15Os, and I'm going to put on 3 of my 15O beads. And then I'm going to take my needle and thread on the side of my RounDuo bead and go up to the top hole. And those are just going to decorate the side then there of my bead there. On the other needle, same thing. I'm going to put on 3 of my 15O beads and hop up from the bottom hole to the top hole, making sure I'm not going through any of those 15O beads that are on the other side. That's how I'm going to hop up. So you can see those beads there on the side. and that RounDuo bead is kind of wanting to lay down. We're going to make it stand up. I'm going to be working down the bracelet now, and what we're going to be doing is actually adding our top layer here. So we're going to be looking at it and adding those beads to the top. So to start my Xing on the top, I'm going to do very similar to what we did on the bottom, except what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up 2 11-0 seed beads, 1 15-0, and then I'm going to pick up my 4mm check glass. On the other side is going to be 1 15-0, 2 11-0 beads. Whatever side the needle is coming out of, doesn't matter which one you started this, right or left, you're going to sew in a diagonal fashion. So my needle starting there at the top of that bead, I want to end at the top of the next bead in line. Get that other thread out of the way here. Let's twist it in. And that's going to lay right over the top. The pattern when you're looking at it is actually going to be 2 11-0s, a 15-0, cross through the check glass bead, and then do a 15-0, 2 11-0s. I'm just doing this one at a time. It's going to make it a little bit more time efficient. So 2 11-0s go on, 1 15-0, and I'm going to cross through that check glass bead, which is going to cause it to lay down flat. On the other side, when I come out, on goes 1 of my 15-0 beads, 2 of my 11-0s, and then I'm going to cross through that same super duo, or super round, or sorry, RounDuo. I use so many super duos in videos that it's hard to get used to the RounDuo. So there you can see the little X that's happening and that it's sitting up in place. I'm going to continue that pattern. So if you're just doing the pattern with me, again, if you're using both needles at the same time to make it a little less confusing, you're going to take and put on 2 11-0 seed beads on the right needle and 1 15-0, 2 on the left, 1 15-0, crisscross through a check glass bead. Repeat the pattern on the other side. Oops. I have my 1 15-0, 2 11-0s, and then cross through the next RounDuo through the empty hole, forcing that one to elevate and sit up top. Needle on the left, same thing, 1 of my 15-0s, 2 11-0s, cross through that same top hole of that RounDuo bead, give a nice tight pull, and that's going to sit that right there up top. So I've gotten to the end of doing my little X design with my check glass on the top, and you can see how it's sitting up there, and it almost has 2 layers. It has that elevated layer on top. Now what we're going to do is we're going to grab onto the RounDuos that are along the bottom here, almost like the little caterpillar legs. To get to there and to reinforce the clasp, when we're coming out of the last RounDuo and we've gone through the top hole, what I'm going to do is, just like I did the other side, where to get from the top to the bottom hole, which in this case is reversed from the other side, I'm going to put on 3 of my 15-0s and go through the bottom hole. On this other needle, same deal. 3 go on. And I'm going to go from coming out the top hole to coming out the bottom hole on the opposite side. Again, making sure I'm not going through any of those 15-0s that I just added. Once I have that crisscross going on, what I'm going to do is actually reinforce my clasp at this point. I'm going to go through my 11-0s, up through my cut button, and through my seed beads. Doesn't matter which needle you do this with. Just making sure I'm not grabbing onto any beads on the side here. Going through my beads and down my cut button and out and around. That's going to reinforce that clasp and that thread near the cut button. I'm going to take that same needle and go through that bottom hole of that RounDuo one more time. So I'm coming out the bottom here. And all I'm going to do now is go right along the sides. And along the sides, I'm going to decorate the whole sides using some of the silver beads, the purple, and the 15-0s. So we're going to do a pattern using all of those beads. If you want to, it's a pretty perfect fit. You could take another of your 4mm and drop that in there. I'm going to keep it with the seed beads to make that elevated section really kind of stick up. So I've got some of each of my seed beads on my bead mat. And all I'm going to do when I'm coming out this bead here to get to that second hole, that outside hole of the bottom base RounDuo, I'm going to put on 3 of my 11-0 beads. And I'm doing the silver color, that Labrador color. And then I'm going to go through the RounDuo here on the side and come out. If you have any RounDuos, just like Super Duos, this is the first one since I've been working on them that it has the coating a little bit is blocking the hole. You can usually just kind of bust that out with your needle or with a reamer, and then you don't break your bead. So I can feel and actually listen to that scraping, that little bit of the coating that's on there, and kind of push through. Go back in and kind of dig out that coating a little bit more. There we go. And that's the first one in all of them, like I said, that I've had that happen to. So I've got my 3 beads on, and I am ready to do my sides. So on the sides, I'm going to go with a design that's kind of backwards, what you might think. You might think to start out with the smallest. I'm going to start out with my silver, then a purple, then a 15-0, then a purple, then a silver. Sew through, just right along the line then. You can see it just pillows it out just a tiny little bit. Makes it look pretty. Again, silver, purple, gray, purple, silver, and through the next one. And I'm going to keep doing that the whole way down the line, adding those beads right along the sides on both the right and the left. So I'm right at the end here going down both of my sides, adding that little lacy kind of picot trim, doing the silver, purple, 15, purple, silver. And right when I get to the end here, all I'm going to do is repeat from the other side, where I do my 3 beads here of my 11-0s, and I'm going to sew into the 2 that are right there at my clasp. And that's just going to pull that outer bead then in. 2 on the side here, or 3 on the side, sorry. And then sewing into those 2 that are the first of that part of that X. And then I have my bracelet all done. All you have to do is go through. If you want to go a 3rd time around your clasp, you can do that, or do any peyote finish, peyote stitch, you can do that. All I'm going to do is take my needle that's on the left-hand side. It's going to be tight going through that seed bead there, that 11-0. I'm going to take my needle from left to right. Kind of wiggle it if you need to. Here's where you can pick up your needle nose pliers also. And just give a little pull. Oops, get that through there and not tangle it in your clasp. Once that comes out the other side, your threads are now right beside one another. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to literally just tie a knot. Oh. And mine got twisted there. I'm just going to take those threads then, tie a knot, burn down, and do a little glue. After you're all finished gluing and tying off, you have your bracelet made. It gives a nice, really kind of lacy look. It's almost like a tennis bracelet where that elevation is happening and you have that nice kind of elevated side to it, that top layer is just sticking up a little bit, and that's going to make it appear to be a little bit fancier and a little bit more work than it actually is. It's quite simple little process there, quite a simple little use of the RounDuo beads and just some seed beads as well. And it's going to give a nice lacy look when it's on your wrist. Have fun if you get a chance to play around with these RounDuo beads. They're an awesome bead and an awesome new design that we've created that we've really enjoyed working with. If you get a chance, you can check out our website, potomacbeads.com. Visit our locations to get your supplies to make the bracelet. Take a class while you're there that's exclusive to the store, and we'd be happy to send you out with some more materials. If you can't get to one of our locations, you can always visit us and shop online, and we'll be happy to ship out some of these new great products and some of the other check products to you. Thanks a lot for watching, and enjoy playing with our new RounDuo beads.